We're here with the Hillsdale Hurricane, Thayne Hallyburton, kicking off the 2014 season here at Sunset Speedway. We're getting ready, May 3rd, Sunset Speedway, the 100-lap Great Lakes Concrete Spring Derby. I mean, Thayne, my man, the call has gone out across the land to pull some of the biggest names in Ontario at Sunset Speedway, May 3rd. It's going to be a huge show. You're debuting a brand new piece. We got a lot going on. What do we got to look forward to next Saturday?
You know, I think there's going to be a lot of cars. I mean, if today's any indication, this place is going to be packed next weekend. And I hear being invitational, it's first come, first serve on parking spaces, so I'll have to get here early for once.
You'll be here Thursday.
I think so. I'll come Friday and set up my coats. But I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, the racing looks awesome. There's a lot of fast cars here. I mean, Tommy was fast out of the box today, and you know, I'm getting used to some new things. I think we'll get there by Saturday, and you know, I'm looking forward to it. I think there's going to be quite a few, hopefully, good, green, clean laps. And everyone comes home one piece. So wants to wreck the car first night.
Now, when you were a Barrie representative, I love anytime I talked to you, you mentioned that coming down to Sunset, you just didn't quite have a hang of the place. Yeah. It was very much like a puzzle. Are you hoping that we can solve this puzzle in 2014?
I hope so. I mean, this morning I watched about 2.5 hours of onboard footage from Tommy Walters, so I think that's helping me. You know, hopefully doing homework like that kind of figures it out. Figures out a good fast line around here. Some guys are a little bit different how they drive the place, and they all kind of get to the same place lap time wise. So I think the track kind of has options, and it's just about finding something that I'm comfortable with. And I think having you know, a lot of laps around here this year, I'll find that pretty quick, hopefully.
Now, obviously, shaking down a new car, there are certain anxieties that they come with it anytime you have a brand new piece. But the fact that you're now sort of thrust out of the fire into the frying pan here with a 100-lap event the first night of the season, is there going to be a little bit of jitters there?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I've been in a lot of big races now. A couple years ago probably would have been, but I'm more nervous for my brother, I think, and to see how he does. You know, I don't know what I would do if my first race in the late model was 100 laps.
Now, you've had 2 years in the limited late model division, but you've not yet run a 100-lap race.
I did at Gary Reynolds.
Well, we're going to say I had the break in between, where Sunset's going to be straight up 100 laps. So I'm thinking more so tire strategy was the lead in here. How important is it going to be to save the tires when you don't have that break in between?
It's gonna really depend on your car. I mean, if your car's not balanced and you're pushing a little bit, you gotta hold back and kind of just stick to the bottom and ride around for a while and save the right front. If you're a little loose, you got to save the right rear. Now, if your car's a little tight, a little loose, you can kind of fix it with brake at the end. But you got to have tires left to do that.
I mean, we haven't had a 100-lap race here at Sunset to compare it to, and when I look at the Autumn Colors Classic, Mike Bentley's won it 2 years in a row with very little strategy, which just sort of get up and go and foot to the floor right from the start. Is that sort of strategy going to be able to work here, or are you going to use up your equipment too quickly?
Well, I think I've seen Mike start from the front both times, and that helps quite a bit. You're able to kind of run your own race. You know, if you start first, I think you can just settle in and do your deal. Especially when you're as fast as he is, you don't really have a lot to worry about. If you're starting 4th, 5th, 6th on back, you kind of got to push it to get in line, and that's where strategy I think comes into play a little bit. You know, it's good for him. I think he probably has a little bit of a mental advantage than everybody else, having run those long races. But you know, it's a new car for him too, so we'll see.
The fact that you have this brand new piece and you have a brand new car all at once, does that make it easier? Whereas if you were to take the brand new car, run it for a year outside of Sunset, and then try to sort of migrate over?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about it is we put a rack in it that's pretty quick, so I'm having to figure that out. Why I say that's nice is because as I'm learning to drive the rack and wheel input, I'm learning to drive the track again. So it's almost like hitting the reset button a little bit, so you can figure it out at the same time. If I had the same car with the same steering and the same quickness of that steering, which is a lot slower than this, I might already have my old habits. So I'm pretty open to having to fix that with the rack. So I think that combination will help.
I mean, you had such a huge season last year, and you hit the very pinnacle of your racing career with 8 wins at Barrie Speedway. Not an easy track to win on. Heading into this year at Sunset with this brand new car, brand new track, what's a realistic expectation for the Great Lakes Concrete Spring Derby next Saturday?
I think I'm gunning for a top 5. End of the day, you know what? For me, I think the car is going to be there. I just ran 10 laps, and the first 10 laps I've ran in it and felt like an old shoe. So I think we're going to be okay. My goal is always to win races, but a top 5, I leave here pretty happy.
Now, go ahead and thank the folks that make all this possible, because I know that this has been a labor of love for you from the time you brought it home, February 11th or something was when you guys first started really working on this car. Yeah. So that was a long time ago, my friend. Thank the folks that put this thing together, because it is a beautiful, beautiful looking piece.
Biggest thing is the family business pays for this stuff, the Hillsdale Service Center, and Kyle Baker, he gives me parts at a very reasonable rate, and he sets the car up, and you know, he's the whole thing behind this. But Kyle had, you know, he left us alone quite a bit since he bought a house and things, and we had to do some stuff ourselves. And I hate doing that, but what are you gonna do? You know, so I gotta thank Ken Reynolds. He's a huge help for us and my dad. You know, I bet you, well, there wasn't a day we weren't in the shop, whether it was day or night. You know, from after we got home from Florida the whole way on. So, you know, it's, I think we calculated it last week before Ken left for Cuba, 2,600 man hours apiece. So
that is staggering.
There's a few hours into this car, and it's a labor of love, that's for sure.
Now, what's the best way for us to follow you on Facebook and Twitter, my man? Because I know this is all the build-up. People are buzzing about this show. They're going to want to get as much content as they possibly can get, yeah. And I know you're a man of the people. Where can they check it out?
We'll have some stuff up on Facebook on our racing page, Hallyburton Brothers Racing, and then on Twitter you can get me at T Hallyburton. I don't put a whole lot of stuff on there, but it's always good to toss me a follow so my numbers look good.
Now, I love the paint scheme. We're not going to release who this was modeled after. What we're going to do, I don't know what you got to give away, but the first person that can find you in the pits to tell you what this scheme is modeled after, we got to make sure that we send them home with something. So yeah, we'll work on that.
We're going to have some t-shirts, and they're not ready yet. They'll be ready once we're putting the car on the t-shirt, so I had to wait till it was done to send the image off. But find me the pits, tell me it was modeled after, and you get a Thayne Hallyburton 14 of 14 t-shirt.
Boom! There it is right there, ladies and gentlemen. So do your homework, figure out who this car is modeled after, find this man right here, let him know who, and he's going to send you home with some free swag. Thayne, always a pleasure, my man. Best of luck practicing today. We will see you back here for the Great Lakes Concrete 100.